We are going live. Hey, everybody, it's showtime. Showtime, and I'm a giant nerd. All right. Yeah.
do. Oh, yeah.
Ready to go live. Hello, everybody. It's a dinosaur. His name's Rex and blah, 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 bloop. Do. Yeah! This episode is sponsored by Quack Alert. They are ridiculously in love with ducks. I have no clue why, but you know what? It's cool. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Charity Board Gamer. We are super excited. We get to have Ted Alspach from Bezier Games. If you have watched any of our family's journey, you'll know that one of the first games that we got involved with and got super excited about was back when I started getting back into board games in 2018, was playing One Night Ultimate Werewolf with my family. It just kind of has been something amazing where now I've been able to demonstrate games at different conventions. And now our family is just continuing that love of just enjoying Bezier Games. So I am, of course, very excited to be able to play, not play. Why am I saying play? I don't know why.
Play a game, Chris. That's cool.
yeah, we'll just play a game. So we'll play two-person werewolf, which I've seen some interesting. Okay, all right, no, but yeah, no. So Ted's on here tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about Zoo Knoxville, some of the things that are going on there. They're actually helping out with red wolves, which are actually an endangered species of wolf. We're also going to be talking about Castles of Mad King Ludwig, the collector's edition, which is really cool. That's going to be coming out soon to Kickstarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're, of course, going to just be talking about all things games and Ted and his journey and just kind of having fun. If you're interested in asking any questions as well, please put them down in the chat. And I'd like to say, Ted, thanks for joining us.
Hey, it is great to be here. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, the last time that you and I did something, we played Werewolf Extreme. I think it was with a bunch of different people, and of course the first thing I did was I accused you of being a werewolf right off the bat.
Well, yeah, which makes sense because normally I am, so I understand. I wasn't that time though. 2 games, both those games that we played, no werewolf. I think I just played Old Villager each time.
Yeah, it looks like we've got Allison in here from Kidsplaining. Hello, Allison. Good to see you. So. Awesome, yeah. She was on here earlier watching our interview with Patrick from Leader Games. So, yeah, tonight is our double header night. I kind of got some double headers for 2021. I thought, why not? Let's have some fun with it. But yeah, so
we're really not doing that much else. So, I think it works out nicely.
Yeah, it's like, it's nighttime. It's like I'm relaxing. It's past work. So now it's just kind of be able to just kind of relax and unwind and enjoy. So, yeah, it's kind of what it is. What is this? Oh, look at this. Ted has
thanks, Matt.
never been a werewolf. Yeah,
Matt. I tell people, most of them do not believe me.
Oh, nice. Got to hang out with Matt and Stella, play Silver Amulet this afternoon. Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, Silver, I've enjoyed the Silver series. That was what? That was a variation of Cabo, right?
Yeah, it's like Cabo. You've got a bunch of face-down cards, and you're trying to get rid of your cards as well as have just the lowest score at the end of the round. But all the cards have special powers, and some are just face-up special powers. Other ones are when you draw them from the deck. So there's an interesting element of strategy and variability with all the different powers that are there.
Yeah, I'm curious because you've gone A through D, and I'm just like, okay, what's going to be E through Z?
I thought you were going to say, what's next? I A, B, C, D. What could possibly be next? And then I was going to help you out, but I think you figured it out, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean the whole E through Z thing. I mean, I do like the fact that there's like little variations that refresh the game, and then the one thing I've enjoyed, we have Silver Amulet, and then we have Silver Bullet. And what's nice is being able to take the different cards that you want to play with, and just be able to kind of mash those together, and just kind of have your certain deck of 13 cards. Well, it's what 14 cards because of zero.
It's 14 because of the
yep,
zeros. Yeah,
14. Yep. But yeah, no, it's fun to be able to play something like that with the family, especially at a 4-player count. It works really well. But yeah, the boys already have their guesses in as Egg and Excalibur. Ooh.
Oh, I like Excalibur.
Yeah, Excalibur sounds nice and regal. You could have like a prince, but yeah, that'd be pretty neat. But yeah, no. So tell us a little bit about your journey. Now, what were some of the games that you kind of grew up with playing and enjoying, and what kind of led to then you going into designing and making games yourself?
Yeah, well, like a lot of other kids growing up in the 70s and 80s, played a lot of the standard Parker Brothers stuff. And, both my dad and my grandfather played a lot of games with me. So we played a lot of 2-player games. With each of them, it was great. I'd go over across it. My mother's parents lived across the street from us. I'd go over there, and we'd just hang out and want to play games. And he would play board games. We played chess. We played card games, and just pretty much everything. It was a great. At the time as a kid, you don't really appreciate that sort of thing. Having grandparents nearby that you get to visit all the time, you're like, whatever, I'll see them whenever. But it was really nice. As a lot of years of my very, very young life that I got to spend with those grandparents, and with my grandfather playing games, and that was pretty cool. By the time I was in high school, of course, I was didn't want anything to do with any parents at all, and I was playing D&D and things, but. Loved playing D&D. In fact, Castles is, as far as I'm concerned, is really a result of me drawing all those dungeons on all those graph paper sheets behind, or on the other side of my notebook, when I'm supposed to be taking notes in whatever, social studies or who knows what. And instead, I'm just creating my dungeon, and I'm doing room by room, little notes about what's going to be in the rooms, and the traps and the treasure and all the different things. And I loved creating that sort of thing, kind of figuring out how it's all going to work together and everything. And so, when I started working on Castles, that's definitely the thing that kind of came to mind, which was I really like that feel of creating something, and I want to kind of put that into a board game somehow. That whole feel of starting. You've got all these different pieces, you can organize them in different ways, and come up with something totally unique and fun afterwards.
So you said D&D. So now we have to ask you, what was your favorite character to play, and what was the alignment that you usually would veer off towards?
The whole chaotic good was the best thing. For the most part, I ended up DMing more than anything else. But I did. I like being a thief. I like being a wizard. I mean, those are the two that are kind of the things that were kind of a little bit of the long range thing, not getting too close. But yeah, the lawful good was too restrictive. I felt chaotic much more interesting. This if I have a choice, but like I said, for the most part, I was DMing typically. So yeah,
very cool. Were you a DM that was kind of encouraging and helping progress the storyline, or were you the one that was like, I'm going to kill you all off if you go into the wrong room and go off track?
No, I mean it's that weird balance, right? You want them to do well, but you want them to be challenged, and you don't want them to skate through, but you kind of want to make it interesting and fun for everyone. And I think the last campaign I ran, when this is as an adult, but I had this really cool scenario where there was this basically a hole that when they dropped into it, it would send them back 20 years in the past, and there were different things that would affect what they had done before. And it was really cool time travel thing. And my stupid group that I'm playing with decided to be really clever and attach a rope to someone when they drop down the hole. Really obvious in hindsight. Of course they're going to do that, right? And I'm like, this is going to break the whole thing. How do I get out of this? That was very, very challenging, because that's on the fly when you have this like cool thing that's going to happen and everything, and then they break it, and you're like, oh, why would you do that to me? So that's kind of fun.
What did you do to change it up at that situation?
Oh, it was a whole hassle. It was basically that They drop down, and at a certain point, the rope would fall in half, and they're like, "Oh no!" And then this person, what does this person see? Well, I can't tell you because you can't hear him; he's too far away. And it was a mess. Trust me, it was not good. It was kind of one of those things that I was just like, clawing, like, "Oh my gosh, get me out of here so that we can get on to the next thing," because I thought this was clever, and they wrecked it, as some groups will do because they're gamers, and they're always looking for the loopholes and figuring out how to game the system. I should know better.
No, I love that, but yeah, no, I always find it interesting. Like when you're with a D&D party, like just all of a sudden somebody's like, I'm just going to do something completely separate from the group that's going to be completely just random and off and weird, and it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah. I'm like, you're wrecking it for me. I mean, everyone else is having fun, but I am all stressed out, so cut it out.
Yeah, no. So you said that you played a lot of games with your grandfather. What was your favorite game that you ever played, that when you ever would go across the street, what was the game that you would go to?
Yeah, the one that I have the clearest memories of, and I couldn't even tell you how to play it now, is a game from Parker Brothers called Masterpiece, where you were basically buying paintings and doing something with those paintings. And it's funny that I can't exactly remember all the mechanics to the game, but I do know that I really enjoyed it. It was a more of a traditional board game with a board, sort of thing. And I really enjoyed it. And at some point I'm going to have to get it. And I kind of don't want to, because I think it will dash and crush my hopes and dreams, because I'll look at it and go, oh, I like playing this. Why? What was there about that? So I've kind of kept away from it as an adult, keeping that nice pristine memory of this amazing game that in hindsight probably was not great, since it never got reprinted, and you don't see anyone else talking about it or playing it that much. So it probably wasn't that good, but I know as a kid I just loved that, and I thought it was really cool. Just definitely got the kind of the creative juices flowing. It was just a really great experience.
I mean, if you did get it, would you ever think about, if you were able to get the rights to it, being able to make it so that way it was still brought those memories back, and maybe for other families? I mean,
that's a very interesting idea. But again, I am very concerned that if I'd get it and I would play it and I would go, oh, this is, it wouldn't be the type of game that I'd be interested in playing now. So there would be probably a lot of work to be done with it. Just you look back at a lot of those games that you spend a lot of hours with, and they're just not as strategically interesting that compared to today's games. There's so many more things going on in today's games to look back on some of those things, which is why, for the most part, we don't play those anymore.
Yeah, it has to be something really, really groundbreaking. I mean, games that are 2009, 2008, there's some that are classics, but then there's ones that they just go to the wayside. But it's amazing, like just even in the course of 10, 11 years, they disappear. Yeah. So how do you keep games fresh? Because I know one of the games that has been just doing so well, I mean, just in the sense of you'll see it at every you'll see it at every convention. There's a deception room and everybody's playing it, and that's Werewolf. So how did you kind of get more involved with that? Because I remember when I was in high school, I would go to these concerts, choir concerts, orchestra concerts. I did a lot of music. And I remember there would always be Mafia. And I always think Mafia, I think of Werewolf, because of the way that it is, where you go to sleep, you wake up, somebody's going to die. But what kind of brought that about, that made you say, okay, let's bring this out and make this something that a large number of people can enjoy?
I think for me, it was, there were various, Werewolf was kind of in the public domain for several years at that point when I was thinking about making my own version. And I really didn't, at that point, I wasn't really publishing games. I was just enjoying myself playing games. And the big problem I had with those versions of Werewolf out there is that none of them by themselves had all the things I wanted. Like, one of them might have a lot of interesting roles. Another one had like nicer art. And then, it was all the things that I wanted just weren't there, and you'd kind of have to constantly be fudging things and making up your own rules and changing things. One of the werewolf games, Are You a Werewolf from Looney Labs, which is kind of the classic one that everyone in the Midwest kind of grew up playing. Really super simple, but the one thing in there, and they modified the rules over the last couple of years, but originally it was, you sit down with a bunch of people, and the first thing you do is everyone closes their eyes, and the werewolves eliminate someone right away, first night. They don't get it, and they're just out of the game. And so that brought a lot of people to hate Werewolf and the thought of it, because there's nothing more frustrating. You're like, well, why did you pick me? First of all. Second of all, this sucks. I didn't get to play. I didn't get to say anything. I don't want to sit here and watch because I'm bitter. And so a lot of people had a really negative experience because of that sort of thing. And there's a few other things too. And so for me, and I wanted to have as much fun as possible. I don't want anyone in the group to be miserable because they're out so early they don't get to play, that sort of thing. So I just, had been making my own rules and modifying some roles, creating new ones that I thought were interesting, and eventually putting that, together. And I basically had my own set that I'd take with me. And then eventually other people asked, could they get a copy? And I would make a copy for them. And then someone said, you should probably, sell these to some people because other people want them so much. And so I'm like, all right, I'll put it up, see if anyone wants to buy it. And I think it was about 9 months later, I had made 800 copies and sold them online. And those were all handmade. These are like, I'm printing things out on my big, large format laser printer, and I'm hand cutting. And I don't know, it was like 50 cards in the set. So 800 times 50 is a big number. 40,000 cards, something ridiculous that I hand cut. Not to mention put the box and the rolls, and I had other stuff with it and whatever else. So at some point along that journey to 800 copies, I realized that this is a very inefficient way of producing games for people. And I found an artist who would work very inexpensively. And then I published the very first Ultimate Werewolf game, with relatively good art, certainly at the time, and a real box and that sort of thing. And that just took off. And ever since then, every year since that was in 2007, as it first came out, every year since then, it's sold more every year than the previous year. So it's kind of one of those that's, I don't know, it continues to just exceed expectations. I keep on thinking, well, it's not going to do much better than it did this year. And then the next year it does a little better. You're like, wow. And more people keep playing it and buying it and being excited. And, we've gone through multiple editions with different art, and we just did a Kickstarter for it last summer. We'll have a new version out this summer called Ultimate Werewolf Extreme, and we're doing some really cool stuff with the app. So that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, the app is what's got me the most excited about it, because I like the idea that if I was the narrator, being able to know the rules and have the images and be able to keep track. Because when you have a large party, like just even 12 people, if you get 12 people to play a game of Werewolf, you're trying to remember, okay, who's who? And it's sometimes, I mean, writing it down is good, but if I can look at an app and be able to see, okay, that person's that, okay, this person's going to get eliminated this night, boom, boom, boom. That's just, that to me, that makes, I think, for a more ideal experience, it makes it easier to go through, especially because I know that there comes times where you do have a larger group where you're talking about 20 people. And you're having to have a second person just to help you keep track, because you're thinking to yourself, did this person die this night? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did this person get eliminated? I'm not too sure. But and then I also like that the all-in pledge, I think, was the slap bracelets and the little sandwich 3D printer. That was cute.
The sandwich and a little ivory tower and some other fun little charm. Lots of fun stuff with that. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yep, keeping the werewolves fed at least for another night to prevent eliminations.
Oh yeah, so. Yeah. That's the sandwich is basically, little known fact that werewolves love sandwiches. And if a werewolf is coming at you, all you have to do is just pull out a sandwich, and they're gonna go, oh, well, is that roast beef there? I'll take that. And then they take the sandwich and they leave you alone. So
what's your favorite roast beef though? I'm a boar's head type of guy. So
oh wow, I don't know my roast beef brand.
You're good.
I like a lot. I think more than anything else, just like a big thick chunk of like layered of roast beef. That's that picture that we have of there is kind of the ideal Dagwood Bumstead type of sandwich that's just full of all sorts of different types of meat and cheese and stuff. And if you can just barely get your mouth around it, that's where it says. Yeah,
something that Scooby-Doo would probably eat. So
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
So tell us about Castles of Mad King Ludwig, because this is something that recently got announced. Maybe about a month ago? Was it about that?
Yeah. So very excited. So yeah, Castles came out back in 2014, and it was one of the first. It was kind of the second big box game that we did after Suburbia, And at the time, we were a very, very small company and a very limited budget, time, resources, that sort of thing. And so, it holds up as far as gameplay goes and whatever, but it still does missing a lot of the things that if we were to publish it today, it would look very, very differently. And so, we thought, well, here's an opportunity for us to go ahead and kind of refresh it entirely. And so by doing so, we got a little carried away. And over the past year, we've been working on all sorts of fun things. So we got brand new art, and the art looks amazing, and it's just much more detailed. And, we were, that there's a very careful balance between gorgeous, beautiful art and playable art, that's not overwhelming. There's all sorts of games that have incredible art, but you just I can't figure out how to play because the art gets in the way, kind of distracts, or, you can't see the icons or figure out things. So we had to balance that. And so we got that figured out. Wanted to add some expansions and do some different things to it that way. And so a bunch of different things I'd been thinking of for a while. And those kind of just slowly evolved into some really exciting things. So we're doing one is called Royal Decrees, and it's a way to start the game out with everyone having an asynchronous slight ability, so a starting ability. And so you draft cards. You start with 2 extras, gives you a little more choice. 2 extra for the whole group and gets passed around. And so everyone gets some sort of ability, but they're really, really unique sort of abilities. Sometimes they give you just enhancements to things like a room completion bonus. So typically for room completion bonus, you might get 5 points for completing an activity room. One of the decrees gives you 8 points now. So now you're more focused on that than you would be otherwise. Maybe another one lets you start the game with $25 instead of 15. Bunch of little things like that. They seem subtle. One of them, we're just looking at the other day, lets you start with 2 favors, so private favors. So normally favors, everyone's contesting for them, but you can start with 2 of them yourself, and now you have 2 different objectives to work for that no one else knows about. And they're secret from everyone else, but you know about them, and you're trying to be first in those particular things, and everyone else doesn't know exactly, though they can see that you're collecting yellow rooms. That might be one of them. I don't know, that sort of thing. So that's fun. So that's one of the expansions. The other expansion is called Towers. And originally, the concept behind that was, I really wanted to do a second floor. Castles aren't flat, and we have downstairs rooms, for dungeons and things like that. But we never had the second story. And I was thinking, we could really do something really cool. And the original concept was kind of a plastic holders that would have a floor, and you'd be able to, a bunch of rooms up there, and then maybe you'd get double points for those, or something like that. So tried a bunch of different things. And what it turned out to be is, and it was so simple and yet really, really compelling, is we added in just one new room type called Towers. They're just a different shaped room. And whenever you complete that room, instead of the normal room completion bonus that you get 2. You get the regular one, and you get another one, which is you take 3 unused favors from the stack, look through them, and then you keep it, kind of like that private favor I was talking about with the decrees. And you put it face down, and then, so that everyone knows that you completed that and that you're a little bit of a threat, you take a tower, which is now these really cool, amazing plastic minis, and place it on top of that tower. And the base of it fits exactly on the shape of the room, and all the entrances, line up and everything. And it's just really, really cool. And all these towers, so we got an amazing 3D artist to design these towers for us. They're based on the castles that Ludwig built and that he lived in during his life. So there's 8 different towers, and they're all based on these unique castles. And they're just amazing. You'll see 2 or 3 of them scattered around different people's castles they're building, and it looks really, really cool while you're playing.
Nice. So I'm guessing then you got a different artist for this one, for this newer version.
So we have an artist, the same artist that actually had done some work back when we first launched. There was a Polish edition that was a Kickstarter, and they didn't know if they would be successful, so they asked if they could, have their own artist do it. And I was like, well, all right, you can keep it only in Poland, so that our other licensees in Europe don't get upset by you having different art, and then people are confused about what to buy. That didn't quite work out that way eventually, but the art was amazing. It was great. It just was a little, as I was mentioning before, it wasn't quite as playable. It was gorgeous art, but kind of hard to actually play with. So what happened is, that was there, and it's been for a while, and everyone's like, "Ooh, have you seen the Polish edition?" And it is gorgeous. It looks amazing. but it wasn't quite playable. So we worked with that artist to have her redo some of the existing art and also create all new art for the Secrets expansion and also these new expansions that we came up with. And the art is just fantastic. It's just outstanding. It's very, very exciting to play. I cannot play with the original version anymore. I am very, very spoiled now.
What now? When does that hit Kickstarter?
It'll be Kickstarter next Tuesday, January 19th.
January 19th. Nice. Very cool. Well, that is now I have to start budgeting. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, if that wasn't enough, then there's this one other part that at the time we weren't sure if we wanted to do this. I don't know if you've ever gotten like the giant or the large versions of games. One of the games we picked up was like the Giant Azul game. It came in like this big box, and the tiles are like twice as big, and it's a lot of fun. It doesn't change gameplay at all, but it's fun to have big tiles and things like that.
Okay.
So we thought about, could we do that for castles? And turns out you can. You just need more table space, of course. But we have rooms. We have a set now that you can get in addition to the regular collector's edition. You can get a colossal set of rooms that are 4 times bigger than the actual rooms. And it's awesome, especially now because we have this amazingly detailed art that's just gorgeous to look at instead of having to squint and see like, wow, there's lots of details there that I can barely see because they're on this small little room. It's really, really big. And they're just hefty. I mean, it's like you can hold one in your hand. They're really nice. And it takes up a little more space. Like I said, we recommend people, if you play 4 players, you need about 2 banquet tables to
really?
Wow. But most people have banquet tables, right? You're a gamer. So you're going to have tables that are about that big. So if you have a 4-player game you want to play, it's that, you play something like that. So it's really cool though. It's really, really nice to have that and, have all the castles laid out, and you can see everyone's castle really easily because they're so big. And
I think I'm going to tell my wife real quick, we need to get a couple banquet tables now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no real reason. Just,
so we can invite people over to eat.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving dinner once a year. Yeah.
Sure.
We need 2 right now. No, that sounds amazing though. The size of that, 2 banquet tables. Okay, so that's for 4 players. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just visualizing it all right now.
It's just you got 2 people sitting on one side of a table. The tables are like pushed together, and then 2 people on the other side, and you've got all your rooms laid out in the one end of everything for the contract board. It's very cool.
I can't wait to see this. Now I'm excited about this even more. But yeah. So what made you start deciding, okay, let's take these older games that we've done. Let's give them a fresh skins, like Werewords. Werewords is a perfect example. You saw Werewords, you had some of the older art there, and then you see this beautiful artistic style, which is, I mean, I love the artwork from that. And then you see Werewolf, and then you've come out with a more fresher, nicer look to it in Werewolf. And then of course you've got these just beautiful, like you said, you're changing all this artwork and you're updating. A lot of publishers could just say, oh, I'm just going to reprint it and do the same thing. What made you decide, no, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a facelift, so to speak?
Yeah, I think with any of the games that we've done that with, it's, all the examples there were games that we had done when we were a smaller company with less resources. And, now that we have more resources and, we realize that it's not as risky. It's very risky for any publisher to spend a lot of money on artwork. The artwork that we got for Ultimate Werewolf Extreme, she is an amazingly talented fantasy artist, and we pretty much kept her working for us full time for almost 2 years doing art for the game. And that's a lot. And that's something that we would never consider doing, back in the day when we originally published this. So that's part of it, is that we just weren't able to. I think as a small company, there's trade-offs when you're publishing things about, what you can do, what you can actually afford, how big your print runs are, that sort of thing. And art, unfortunately, is one of those things that, if you get really good art, it can be really expensive. In the case of a couple places, like our One Night Ultimate Werewolf art is amazing, but that was more of, I happened to find the guy before anyone else knew about him. And so he didn't know how much his stuff was worth. which was really good. By the time he was doing our last couple one nights, Alien and superheroes and supervillains, he was charging significantly more for the same art that he had done much less 5 years before. But yeah, that's kind of how things work. But if you're lucky, you can find some artists, some like hungry artists that's ready to do work like that, and that's great. And that's where we're always trying to do that sort of thing whenever we can.
Yeah, I enjoy the fact that One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and then you look at Supervillains, it looks so much more like the work of Gennady Tartakovsky from Dexter's Laboratory and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's like night and day seeing the difference in it, but it's still the same artist, but it's well done, and it's the way I like to think of it when I talk about supervillains is I think of like it's almost like the One Night Ultimate Greatest Hits, because you have a lot of similar roles from some of the previous games put into that area, and it's well done. So I especially like the annoying lad. My son loves it because he's just tapping nonstop when he gets the roll. Yeah. Oh no, it's not a simple poke. It's more like a
no, as many times as possible.
Yeah, as many times as possible until the voice of Eric Summer tells him to stop. So yeah. But no, it's enjoyable to be able to talk about these things. Something else that we were going to talk about, of course, with there's so many werewolves. There's something else that you all have really been getting involved with, which is red wolves. And red wolves, especially, are an endangered species. And the one organization that you're helping is the Zoo of Knoxville. So I'm going to pull up Zoo Knoxville. I'm going to scroll through it a little bit. You talk to me about it,
sure.
And we'll just we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think for us, there's different charities we're involved with. This was for us kind of a nice thing. We haven't been in Tennessee that long. We've only been here about a little under 4 years now, and we wanted to do something that was for this area. And the zoo happened to have one of the largest groups of captive red wolves in the country. And they're endangered. There's only a couple hundred of them left anywhere. Most of them are in captivity because the ones out in the wild, there's it's really interesting. The red wolves, just like gray wolves in the western part of the country, they're predators, and they're the apex predators, top of the food chain. They really don't have anyone else taking them out, except unfortunately for humans. And various weather things and disease, that sort of thing. But it's primarily humans that led to their demise, because they were kind of a destructive force. I mean, they would eat cattle, they would eat pets. I mean, it was just not good stuff. And they really can't be tamed because they are actually wolves. Throughout most of the 20th century, they were hunted, and no one really paid any attention to how fast their numbers were dwindling until much later in the century, when they realized, there's not many left, and so I think they were down to what they think was about 100 left in the wild when they started bringing them into captivity and start breeding them so that they could have a chance to continue. And so we thought that was something for all the wolves and werewolves have given us throughout the company. We thought it was a nice little tie-in for us there. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, I the red wolves. When I lived in Virginia, we had a giant Virginia Living Museum, and there's actually a big red wolf conservation around there. And what they would do is they would actually breed them, get them back into society, not society, but get them back into the wild afterwards, which was nice. But I mean, it takes a lot to get them to that level too, because you're trying to not domesticate them either. Yep. When you're trying to reintroduce them back into the world. So because then they can't handle the day-to-day of the cold and the weather if you domesticate.
Right. And their nature, this is what they are. They're wolves, and they hunt for their food, and that's kind of, what they are. Just that's their nature of what they do. And unfortunately, when they're anywhere close to where humans are, they're going to run into issues with, like I said, livestock and other sorts of things. So there's a weird, delicate balance there. And they've tried to introduce them into areas that aren't as populated. Certainly they've tried that in the Smokies and some other places that have large swaths of land where there aren't people. But they still haven't been that successful yet in getting them to start repopulating by themselves out in the wild.
Yeah, no, it's good that there's organizations like Zoo Knoxville and Virginia Little Museum and other zoos and museums as well that are trying to help them get back into the world. And I love the fact that, I mean, red wolves are a beautiful creature in itself. But yeah, no, I love the fact that you all said, hey, let's do something that involves wolves. Because you've got Waldo as your kind of your mascot for Bezier. And so why not, keep Waldo happy by helping some fellow wolves out. So,
yeah.
No, it's nice. And on here as well, you can actually see some different things about the different animals. Like that's how I was able to go to it. For anybody that's watching right now, if you go to zooknoxville.org, and I'm going to put it up here real quick. Let me see here. I'm going to put up here, and it's going to come out to all the different chats. You can actually click on that link. You can go exactly where we are right now. And I'm going to go ahead and put on here the link as well, so that way you can see that. But yeah, if you're interested, you want to see all the different animals that Zoo Knoxville helps out, you can take a look here, click on animals. You can actually click on the different animals, learn about the different habitats, learn about kind of what they do with them. And then last but not least, support it, which is important. So, yeah, because, I mean, right now, if you think about it, COVID-19 has prevented a lot of people from going out to actually help sustain these zoos and these museums and things of that nature, where they're not able to go out and say, you can't go out and say, hey, I want to go look at these wolves or these beautiful, majestic creatures. Instead, these organizations are basically relying on you and grants to be able to stay alive and to be able to continue paying for their staff as well as providing for these animals. So, this past year has been rough, I think, on all sorts of organizations, but certainly ones that are more tourist based like that. The zoo has been open, but they have, of course, there's also the same guidelines they have everywhere else, where even though it's an outdoor zoo, you've got to stay apart from people. You got to wear your masks. And, it's just people don't want to go out and be around a crowd of other people right now, which makes sense. So, they're not getting the same attendance that they had in the past. Yeah. And it's really cool. Look at this. You can actually not just do normal donations, but you can also donate in such a way that you can adopt a pet, which is really cool, or adopt an animal, so to speak, not a pet, because can't exactly take tigers and zebras home with you. So, but I love the idea that you can actually go ahead and make these different donations and make different impacts towards it. I mean, how cool is that? Get a picture and say, yeah, I helped sponsor that specific animal. That's kind of neat. I like that. So, and that's really cool. Yeah, dude, unlimited zoo admission and free parking throughout the year. Parking is not cheap at any theme park or museum. Oh my gosh. But yeah, just being able to do that would be really cool. So that's nice. Yeah, no, I like things like this where we can actually at least give back into the community and also give back towards, creation and just like all these animals and things of that nature, just like the things that maybe we don't exactly interact with all the time. But I mean, like you said, we hunted them, we killed them. So now it's up to us to bring them back. I mean, if we don't, we're going to be extinct with red wolves, and that's not something I think we want.
Yeah, I mean, there's also all sorts of animals that are endangered, but for us, it would seem like this is these are some animals that they're came from the southeastern part of the country, and they spread across. They were all over North America, prior to humans being here, and then within a matter of a couple hundred years, they're almost entirely gone, and not for their fault, for the most part. And it's got to be tough when you're top of the food chain like they were, and suddenly the numbers have just dwindled so much.
Yeah, they don't even have a food chain to even go towards anymore. So yeah, it's crazy, but no. So for any of those that are interested in actually donating or supporting the zoo, zooknoxville.org. If you want to support other red wolves and through different zoos or organizations, please look at that. Most museums and zoos have like a conglomerate. I forget the word. My brain's too fried. But it's kind of a thing where like if you have like a pass and you can go to different museums and stuff like that, they kind of have a general thing where you can actually look up and see the different organizations that actually have the different types of animals and zoos and things of that nature. I know when we had a yearly pass, we could actually go to different museums and stuff like that because we were part of a program, which was really cool. But there's ways for you to be able to give back towards these zoos. So if you are in the Tennessee area, you want to help give back towards Red Wolves, or if you just want to be a wallet or a purse and make a difference, go ahead, adopt an animal, adopt a red wolf. Let's have some fun. Name it Waldo. Maybe they have one named Waldo. Who knows? So it'd be fun. It'd be cool. But yeah, no, I like that. I like everything on here. Just because I do like the idea. One of my favorite things that I used to do all the time was I used to work restaurants. So I'd work nights most of the time being a restaurant manager. So during the daytime, I would take my kids out and we would go to the museum, the Virginia Living Museum. We would go see the animals. And we would do that almost 2 times a week. We had a membership.
Wow.
We supported. And I mean, it was fun. The kids had a great time. So they're little toddlers. And I'm like, do you all want to go see animals? Yes. I mean, when does a kid not want to go to the zoo? So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, even as adults, I get excited about this stuff. So yeah. So very cool. I am excited to hear like everything that Bezier is doing. I'm excited about this, and I'm also excited about this charity. So this definitely is really cool. But yeah, Ted, thank you for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. This was great. Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. We appreciate you for coming on, and thank you for the joy that you bring to our table. Thank you for the joy that you bring to other people's tables. Definitely, I don't think the Deception Room would really be existent without Bezier Games, really kind of making that happen. So thank you for that. But I want to also say to everybody, if we can gather at the table, we can do the same for a good cause. So remember that. Make a difference. Remember, you can be a sword to fight for those who cannot fight. You can be a shield to protect them, and you can be a wallet to help when you cannot be there physically. So remember that. Make it a point to make a difference. Let's make 2021 a lot better than it started out to be. So, but everybody, we're going to head out. I'm going to go ahead and play a little something, and you all have a great night. Bye. We also want to thank our sponsor, Greenbrier Games. Be on the lookout for lost ones hitting the Pledge Manager soon.